Hi, Mike Adamani. I've finished most of the things in Guild Wars 2 so far, but I'm excited about, the Harder Thorns. Is there anything I can do to prepare myself for when the expansion comes out?
Sorry for my extremely poor American accent there. I also have a very, very husky voice. It's also one of the reasons why my content for releasing at the moment is going to be a little bit lower than usual, because I really am struggling to speak with a really bad sore throat at the moment. So, enough about that. The next series I'm going to be looking at is going to be focusing on the Heart of Thorns preparation. So, I'm going to do a series of videos that's going to look at different topics, different things that are going to come out with the expansion, and are going to be things that you should be getting ready for, when it comes out. When the expansion comes out, obviously there's going to be a load of new things that come into the game, but there's also things that you can do in the meantime to make your life so much easier for when that expansion does come out. So let's talk about some of those different features right now. And the first one that we're going to be talking about today is going to be talking about specializations. Okay, so what are specializations going to be? Specializations are a big thing for Guild Wars 2. They are going to give different players and for different professions a new option in their profession. And this is sort of answering some of the criticism that ArenaNet had when they developed Guild Wars 2 compared to the previous game in Guild Wars 1. Now, the topic that I'm going to be talking about now is, in Guild Wars 1, you actually got to pick a secondary profession. So if you pick, for example, a warrior as your main profession, you could pick monk as your secondary profession. And this would give you access to specific monk skills and different things that a monk could have. And this was actually a really flexible way of playing in the game. So you could have ritualists and would have a lot of skills that were very similar to a necromancer. So you could have a ritualist running minions. And there was these crossovers between the classes. Elementalists could actually be very, very good healers for a brief amount of time, because they didn't have that extra regeneration of energy in the game that the monks had. And so there was this flexibility with classes that you could run different build specs. I'm thinking back to Guild Wars 1, when you were running some of those dungeons, particularly the sort of in the Eye of the North, and you'd have warriors that would be warrior elementalist and would run obsidian flesh, which would give you a huge amount of tankiness in the game. And so specializations are designed to actually give players an option for their class. So why have they done this? Well, they're doing this to try and give you that little bit of extra flexibility with a class, and give it a bit of variation. Because one of the things I like in Guild Wars 2 is the fact that each profession plays pretty much its own way. Nothing else plays like a thief. Nothing else plays like a mesmer. Alright, you may have some crossover between some of the spellcasters and between the guardian and the warrior, but generally most classes feel very, very different to play. And I hope that they carry on with this when they bring in the specializations. So how can we prepare for these new specializations? Well, as you can see here, I am on my engineer here. Okay, specializations will be something that you can trait into. So if we bring up the trait panel, what will happen is one of these traits will be removed, and then you'll receive a new trait line with new trait skills that you will be able to access if you are specialized. Now, obviously the main example that we have at the current time is the fact that you'd have a ranger would become a druid. So a ranger would lose a trait line and gain a new one, and they would gain access to staff skills. We know the engineer will be getting a hammer, so currently they only have shield or pistol or rifle. So being able to have a hammer could, potentially get rid of, I don't know, probably one of these thing like, probably get rid of like tools. Tools will be gone because you don't have a tool belt recharge or something like that, and then you get in the new hammer skills. So this is really going to throw up some interesting challenges for players that want to specialize. So how, for specializing, this is only something that you can do out of combat. So once you're in combat, it's very much like the skills. You can't actually change your skills when you're in combat, and the same thing will go, and the same for the traits. You won't be able to do the same thing. You won't be able to change any of these. You can't swap from a ranger to a druid in the middle of a fight. But that also means that, there's going to be a lot of different things, because a druid, I imagine, will play a lot differently to how a longbow ranger or a condition damage ranger would play. Is that going to be the same case for all the professions? Well, let's think about it. If it is, let's think about if we're going to be the engineer. He's going to get a hammer, so we know he's going to get a hammer. So you should prepare for that and get a maximum statted weapon for him. So, as you can see here, we actually have a hammer here. I will state that obviously this is an ascended bound hammer. This isn't for my engineer. I'm just using it as an example. But if we wanted to use a condition damage hammer, we can take this ascended hammer that I've already created, I've already crafted, and this will go straight onto my engineer and allow me to wield an engineer's hammer, and boom, I can specialize into whatever the engineer is going to become. And this would be the same for ranger. If, for example, we have here, this is from the PvP reward track, and I could open this up. So here we go, double click this, and I can get a staff. So here we go, scroll down, and I get a choice of 3 different staffs or staves, and I can pick one of those, and boom, that's not going to go on my ranger. There we go, I've got an exotic weapon already sorted for my ranger if he becomes a druid. And this is one of the things that you can start to do now. Get these high-end weapons ready for your specializations. So, we know a few coming into the game, and this is the sort of thing that you can do beforehand. Get your weapons sorted, perhaps even get armor sorted, and look at, if you wanted, if you go for, again, this is the PvP reward track with a glorious armor, I can select the stats of this armor for whatever it is. So, for example, it's a heavy bound class. There is speculation that's pretty much confirmed that the Guardian is getting a longbow weapon. We don't know exactly how it's going to play, but I can immediately give my Guardian this armor, and whatever specs it needs to be, I can spec it out, and boom, I can go away and I'm fully equipped, no problems. So this is some of the things that you can do preparing for Heart of Thorns with the new specializations, getting your new weapons ready for those individual classes. Well, what else do we need to, look about specializations? Well, as many of you are able, or probably have noticed, I have many different characters. I have over 20 characters, and this has got, I have 3 engineers. I have, 2 guardians, 3 warriors. It's going to allow me to have one of these professions as a specialization purely, because I think this is actually going to be, you can specialize per character, and so I'm going to have lots of fun with this and making certain, new builds, creating an engineer just to be like this hammer guy with all these little flying drones going around. And this is something that you can do yourself. Prepare for the Heart of Thorns expansion by getting these weapons, getting this armor ready. We know some of the equipment already, and we can just easily prepare and get all these different items ready. And as soon as Heart of Thorns comes out, we can equip straight away, get specialized, and we're going to have lots of fun with it. Because I imagine at the beginning of the game, there won't be too many people fully, understanding how these specializations work. And it's going to be fun to go around, wielding that hammer. It's going to be quite in vogue when you're actually with these engineers going around with a hammer, going around with the staff on the Ranger Druid, and it should be a good fun. So I hope this, you guys can take something from these videos, because again, it's just helping you guys out to prepare and examine what things you can do to save yourself a lot of time when the expansion comes out. Get everything ready, and it will make your life so much easier and so much quicker going through these new developments with the Heart of Thorns expansion. So thank you very much for watching my video, and I'll see you on the next one.